Now then, Tigers, how we doing? I hope we're all doing well. There's been a lot of news surrounding Hull City, especially after that Sheffield United game where there was a lot of controversy, mainly due to the referee, John Brooks. But it's not just that, because there are also other things. For instance, John Lundstrom versus Acun Ilachile on social media, plus a certain Hull City legend / playoff winner could be returning to the Tigers. Oh yeah, and there's always a depressing thing about Hull City as well. We have an added player to the injury list, but I'm not going to reveal it just yet because you're going to have to watch the video to find out who it is. But knowing you Hull City fans, you will already know because you are very quick to find out this stuff, which is a good thing. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So the first thing we're going to obviously talk about is what happened with John Brooks's performance in the Sheffield United versus Hull City game. It was absolutely terrible. Obviously, his decision making was really what led us to actually lose the game, believe it or not. I mean, the second yellow for Lundstrom's sliding challenge, I think, was harsh considering he was in the way. He also gave a penalty, but was unsure which player it was that actually conceded the penalty and who got fouled in the first place. So in the aftermath of that, with the 2-1 loss we had at Bramall Lane, it seems like the PGMO, the Professional Game Match Officials, have sent Hull City an apology for John Brooks' performance. Thank you, PGMO. I really do appreciate that. That honestly means a lot that you've sent an apology. It doesn't mean that we're going to get that loss back though, are we? Because it's literally cost us the game. Now, some of you may think I'm exaggerating, especially if you're, I guess, Sheffield United fans, if you're watching this. But even Chris Wilder could understand the situation Hull were facing, because even he kind of highlighted his own frustrations at not just John Brooks as an official, but just EFL officials in general this season. They haven't been good. And it's a serious problem that needs to improve next season. There's been too many times where we've seen such appalling decisions in the Championship. And it's all come from referees. Like, we think that VAR is terrible in the Premier League, which it is. And I'm hoping it's never going to come to the Championship. But you'd think that you'd be grateful that we wouldn't have VAR because the officials and the refereeing would be good in Championship or just in EFL matches. It's been said that the head of the EFL referees, Kevin Friend, actually contacted Hull City on Monday expressing his views on John Brooks' performance in the Sheff United and Hull game, and understood that he made quite a few key errors, which obviously led to Hull City losing, and expressed his condolences, is what I would definitely say. Because, my God, we should not have lost that match. Yeah, he basically apologised due to John Brooks' performance. Now, once again, don't mind the apology, but come on, you know, like, it's them decisions which have actually cost us the match. And understand that there's nothing we can really do about that, but you'd think maybe something should take in place. I mean, obviously we can't gain 3 points from losing a match. It's just not going to work, and Sheff United don't get the win. You can't have a rematch because it's just not going to happen, and it just simply won't work. And for other teams, they'll just think that's completely unfair because there'll be a controversial decision which maybe have cost the game from their end, and they've not got a rematch, and they'll start arguing, and the whole Championship or the whole league are just going to go absolutely insane. There's going to be riots, there's going to be people lifting up torches and pitchforks, and there's going to be huge protests around the country. There isn't really, but if there seriously is, then the world has gone mad. And just to obviously make you understand how bad of a performance John Brooks had, on McBurney, this is from his perspective. So this was due to the penalty decision that Brooks gave. So Gus Harmer obviously scored the penalty, but prior to obviously Harmer scoring the penalty, it was a decision that was made which McBurney had no idea why it was given and how it was given. And he even said that Brooks had no idea how it was given or how it even was given, because he says and quotes, "The penalty, we've just watched it back in there. We're still not sure who the foul is on. I asked the referee during the game who the foul was on. He said he didn't know and told me to go away. How could you not know who the foul was on when you're the referee that made the decision to give the penalty? You should surely know the player that was fouled and the player who caused the foul. I'm just saying, right, if that penalty wasn't given, there is a slight thinking in my head that we wouldn't have lost that game. And maybe we wouldn't even drawn. I mean, the red card as well was just controversial in itself, but I think the penalty is just really what made it even worse for John Brooks. And for that reason, you know, you can't get away with stuff like this all the time, surely. Another thing I'll point out as well is that he hasn't actually reffed a game in 2 months. And this guy is usually a Premier League official. First 2 months back in action, he goes into the Championship, and out of all the games, has to be Sheff Utd versus Hull, and puts on a terrible performance. He's getting a demotion. He's getting demotion. Not just staying in the Championship. No, he's going to be going down to League 2. Maybe even the National League. I'm still kind of fuming, but I'm gradually getting over it because, let's be honest, as a football fan, you have to get over these decisions as much as they're ridiculously stupid. Now, I did speak, of course, about John Lundstram getting a red card in the match at Bramall Lane, which was probably the main reason that actually cost us the game rather than John Brooks' silly decision at a penalty. And even though the second yellow was controversial, yes, Lundstram should have gone in for a sliding challenge. It's that simple. But Lundstram went on Instagram and posted a story. Basically, this is what he said, which will be displayed on here. So, I never ever do this, but I'm sorry to the Hull City fans today. Fine margins decide games, and I feel I cost us today. I apologise. We appreciate, Lunny. You've made your apology. I do accept it. But he then goes on to say about how he didn't get the reception he wanted at Sheffield United and how he felt, well, he probably must have felt quite hurt and offended, clearly. As he goes on to say, the reception from the Blades fans hurt a lot today. Also, I don't understand the hostility. I absolutely love the club, gave everything I had for the club, and was part of maybe the best Sheffield United team in history. I left because I couldn't turn down the opportunity to change mine and my family's lives. I just wanted to apologise to the Hull fans and say I love Sheffield United and it will always hold a special place in my heart. Really? I understand he was quite a long-serving player at United, that's for sure. But come on, you can't do like a soppy Instagram story about how you didn't get the reception and the praise from the fans that you were hoping for, and you got a hostile reaction, and yet you're talking more about that rather than apologising about Hull City and to the Hull fans. We can't have stuff like this from you, Lunny. You've got to just stick with Hull City. You can't go back on just how Sheff United have just caused you to be so hurt and you just feel like you've been betrayed. You've got to. You can't post stuff like this. It just kind of, not only will it probably maybe give you disrespect from, I guess, Sheff United fans, but also from Hull fans. I'm not one that's going to disrespect him for this, but I know there have been plenty that have, grilling me on Twitter. And one of them people on Twitter was none other than Achun Ilachili, the Hull City owner, who clearly saw the story and put on a good chunk of a paragraph or two on Twitter about his feelings towards Lundstram's statement on Instagram story. And this is what he said. Dear Lunny, we are still feeling the pain of the 3 points stolen from us today. We believe that the most important thing today that we need to talk about is losing 3 points by terrible referee decisions. Agree. On an afternoon filled with disappointment for us, as I read your statement, I would expect it to be more about the injustice on the pitch and less about the disappointment you felt from the fans of your former club. We are a big family. We have one dream. We have a great team, strong coach, and the best fans fully focused on reaching the playoffs. I hope you'll feel better in the future with the genuine love and support from our Hull City fans. Yes, Achun, I do agree. But there's one thing I will say. You don't need to be posting this on social media and spreading it publicly, because that's more something you should really keep in private and have as a sort of man-to-man conversation, or keep it in the club where the fans won't know. The fact how he's put it on Twitter, it kind of makes the situation even worse. I mean, I do agree with him in saying that, well, his statement should really be more about the disappointment of the refereeing decisions, rather than him not getting, well, what he was hoping for from Sheffield United fans. And it's one of them, I'm on the fence really, where, yes, I understand Lundstrom's frustrations, but he really shouldn't be, going on about his former club. And then with Atchun, I do agree with his frustrations about Lunny's statement, but keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself, or express it to the player himself, or talk about it amongst the club. Don't put it publicly, especially on social media, which will easily spread. And even if you delete it a minute later, it doesn't make a difference. That one fan is going to see it, and it's going to spread. So that also kind of frustrated me a bit about Atchun Ilachilli. It also makes me think that John Lundstrom is not going to last much longer at this club. Not that I don't think he will, because he's obviously on loan at the moment. But let's be real, I don't think his contract's going to renew for an extended loan. So that's been like the surrounding news around Hull City, where it's basically all been based on that 2-1 Sheffield United loss. Let's move on to something a bit more positive. And this is very positive, because you may have seen on Twitter, there was a report that Andy Robertson could be joining a certain team. You would have seen that he will be leaving Liverpool by the end of the season. He's going to be expressing his options elsewhere. He's getting older now. He wants to join a team where he's not going to have as much pressure to do, well, not exactly so well, but on such a high, constant level of competition. I'm talking constantly playing Prem, Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, etc. Having the pressure to try and win all these trophies and, I guess, win all the Liverpool fans, because let's be real, some of them, while they are very supportive, others, who are definitely not from Liverpool, are just very toxic. But you would have seen a report saying that Andy Robertson could be looking to sign for Tottenham Hotspur, for Celtic, and for Hull City. That is right, he could be going to one of those three clubs. However, two clubs, he wants to make sure they're on the highest level of English football. With the Celtic situation, they're in the Scottish Premiership. Of course, they're literally the best team in Scotland. Maybe not right now, but historically they basically are. He's going to be playing at the top level of Scottish football, has that chance to be playing European football, most likely Champions League, and of course you've also got like the Scottish League Cup, etc. So it'll be a perfect fit for him to go there. Of course, the other two clubs, Tottenham Hotspur and Hull City, it all depends on if they're in the Premier League. It's extra motivation for Hull City for playoffs and promotion. If we get promotion to the Premier League, I think it's highly likely Robertson's coming back to the Tigers. He's going to return, and the legend will be back playing at left back. As for Tottenham, we know they're in the relegation battle at the moment in the Premier League. They're in the bottom three. Who would have seen that coming at the start of the season? Obviously, Tottenham have to stay up if Robertson even wants to think about joining Spursy Lurgies. Not that he's going to want to if Hull City do get promoted. But let's say if Tottenham do stay in the Prem, I wouldn't be surprised if he does join them. It is a bit more likely that Robertson's going to join Spurs or Celtic, because they'll have far more money to offer in terms of wages for the Scottish fullback. But hey, listen, that transfer embargo, we've saved up a bit of cashio. We could put a nice, good offer, a lovely wage for Robertson on his return. Fingers crossed it happens. And finally, leaving on some, well, very bad news. A player who has been very much in form as of lately, Cody Drame, he's out. He's out for the rest of the season. He got injured in the Sheffield United game, as I've said before, as you've seen on social media. It's a similar injury to what he had before this season, which kind of put him out for quite a while. And it looks like he's going to be missing, of course, the rest of this month and potentially the playoff campaign if we do secure the top six. He's going to be a big miss because, as I said before, he's been a terrific player. He's really shown so much for Hull, not just defensively, but definitely going forward. It's definitely going to be the case that Louis Coyle will now play at right back, and he's just going to have to do his very best in his best abilities to try and give something going forward for Hull especially. He has conjured up like a couple of assists in all fairness to him. Defensively he's not a bad player, but he hates dealing with fast, pacey, agile wingers. That's probably Coyle's worst nightmare. Hopefully he can do a decent job though through these last 4 games of the season. And those last 4 games are of course Birmingham City, Leicester City, Charlton Athletic and Norwich City. 4 games which on paper may not seem too bad, but they're all tough games. Let's be real, every championship game now for the rest of the season, for any team, it's going to be tough, especially if you're involved in a battle. And our next match on Saturday, we need redemption. We need 3 points on the board. I will be doing my preview and predictions on that Birmingham City match and hopefully getting that uploaded by Thursday or Friday, so be prepared to check that out. But other than that, folks, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to check out the socials, which will be in the link in the description. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and finally, the Tigers!